Many of our students are aspiring photographers or digital creatives. And so I'd like to just start with like how you got into photography. You were a motocross rider for some part of your life,
Yeah, yeah.
and you made the transition into photography. So can you kind of wind the clock back?
Mhm.
Tell us a little bit about how you discovered you had the talent and how you got started into photography.
Yeah, yeah, sure. So I mean, I had a dirt bike or some sort of quad or something since I was like 3 years old. And so I rode my whole life and didn't even know what photography was. I finished high school, I was going into college, and I was doing pretty terrible. And school was never for me. And so I just wasn't doing that good, but I was still racing a lot. And I just, I've always loved the magazines. And I used to work as a butcher at a grocery store. And so, like,
Okay.
going to college, worked as a butcher, would race dirt bikes. And I'd spend probably way too much time during work hours looking at the magazines, and I just wanted to start taking photos of my friends at the racetrack. And so I took my dad's old 35 millimeter Minolta camera, and it's a film camera. And so I went out there and took a bunch of photos that didn't turn out because I had no idea how to use film. And so I just, I because I was in college, I was like, oh, I'll just take a photography class. And I really, really fell in love with it. And I've never had like I think some people have like a very clear side of their future when they're young, like, oh, I want to be, work in this industry or this type of position. I never
Hmm.
did that. I just was very much more free form on just kind of being more present in what I'm doing in the moment. And that was the first time that I was like, I want to do this. Like, I really love this. And so I just started taking photo classes at Glendale Community College out here. And then I kind of maxed out all the classes that they offered. And again, for me, I wasn't in pursuit of a degree. I was in
Hmm.
pursuit of education, so I just started taking all of the different types of photo classes that Maricopa County Community Colleges offered, and so I just started going to, like, 3 to 4 different campuses a semester for many semesters to take all the photo classes I could, and so that there was, like, at one point, I think I was at, like, 4 different schools in one semester because
Yeah.
I just loved it
Yeah.
so much, and there's nothing else that I just never saw myself working a 9 to 5, so
That's cool.
When you were developing your talents through these four classes at four different colleges, like what were you learning? You were focusing on technical side, the creative side? Was that everything? You were just kind of trying to consume everything.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to consume everything, but I was always really early. Like early on, I was enamored with lighting. Like I just didn't get how I could look at an image and how people could achieve some of those things. Like I just
Mhm.
made no sense to me. It was almost like this unsolved mystery that I had to solve. And so I got really, really obsessed with just learning strobes, learning lighting. I started 15 years ago, and it's not that long ago, but like technology's come a long way with lighting, and so
Yeah.
back when I started, there was, like, not a whole lot of portable strobes that you could take
Right.
off location, and so I'd be taking, like, these big heavy batteries out into the desert and just doing whatever it took, and same thing with my interests, like, I didn't really have a, "Oh, I wanna do this type of photography or this type." I just love taking photos, and so I would go out into I drive Arizona is great for landscape, so I would just drive couple hours and see look up these cool locations and just take, landscape photography. And so, yeah, just so I can learn more.
Well, I think I wanna dig into the beginnings of it. When did you get your, like, first break, or you go, "I'm a photographer"? Did you have a mentor? Just sorta how'd you get your foot in the door kind of experience scenario, if you could share?
Yeah. So I can, there's kind of a couple different little nuggets I can share on that. I mean, I spent, so after I finished up school, I shot weddings for a little bit just because it's an easy barrier of entry to make money. But it was never an interest. It was just more of a means to an end, make some money. I need to, I was getting a little older and need to make some money. But in the meantime, like I learned more about commercial work. And so I started, bringing a very terrible portfolio around to ad agencies. And so I spent years, maybe 2 or 3 years, just kind of doing walk ins. I would just walk into an ad agency, I'd research them, ask for a meeting. A lot of them would tell me no. Or the ones that did, meet with me, they'd humor me, and, yeah, I know my book was bad at then, but they were polite, and but I did that for about 2 or 3 years, and then my first commercial job was not through that, but my second job was I'll get to the second one, but the first one was I don't even know how I think they found me online,
Mhm.
and it was a gym out here, Mountainside Fitness, And I think at the time, I want to say the budget for a 2-day shoot was like 12 grand, which to me was like blew my mind. I was like, well, this is amazing. Yeah. And I had no idea what I was doing. I had two people helping me, two assistants, but they were very green as well because I didn't know the right crew at the time. But client ended up being happy and they loved the images. And so, that led me kind of into my next really kind of big ad agency job. I think it was about 6 months after that. Kind of all those meetings finally paid off. This ad agency reached out to me to place a bid on a casino out here.
Nice.
That was like one of the first times where I was like, I have no idea how to bid this. I didn't know what it took to like what positions on my crew do I need? Luckily, I met a really great friend of mine through F-Stoppers early on. His name's Clay Cook. He's a great photographer out of Louisville, Kentucky. One of my closest friends. And I called him up because he's been always a little bit further in his career than me. And I was like, hey, man, I need lots of help. And so he helped me, write an estimate together. And I think at that time, I want to say it was like 5 or 6 images. And I think the job was about 18 grand for 5 or 6 images for a 1-day shoot, and won the job. And yeah, it was just taught me a lot. I've hired some better crew at that point, and yeah, it was a really successful shoot. Ended up shooting with that ad agency for years. So yeah.